Have you ever wondered why life changed so slowly 500 years ago, while today everything happens at a dizzying speed, constantly changing? What has pushed human history into a trajectory of relentless acceleration, creating unprecedented innovation? The answer lies in one of the greatest revolutions that fundamentally changed the way we think and act, the scientific revolution. Before the scientific revolution broke out in the 16th and 17th centuries, sapiens had existed for tens of thousands of years, but changes in social structure, technology, or even thought occurred at a very slow pace, almost imperceptible in a single lifetime. Most cultures operated on the belief that all important knowledge was already known. Knowledge was seen as a fixed storehouse, passed down from ancestors, from ancient texts, or revealed by gods. The role of the wise was not to discover new things, but to interpret, preserve, and communicate what was already known. Scholars spent their lives poring over ancient books, searching for truth in existing texts, not going out to discover the unknown. Nature was seen as an immutable order, established by gods or eternal laws, and humans were to live in harmony with it, rather than seek to change it. The idea of progress as a continuous, all-around improvement is almost non-existent. Life is seen as a repeating cycle, or a decline from a golden age where the best is behind us. However, around 1500, a fundamental shift in the way people approach knowledge began to take shape, officially giving birth to the scientific revolution. The starting point was not the discovery of some great truth, but the courageous admission of a simple but profound fact: we don't know. This is the greatest revolution in consciousness. We accept that there are countless things we don't know, and this ignorance is an opportunity to explore, to learn, to advance. This shift was a major blow to traditional systems of thought, which often claimed absolute truth and considered admitting failure a sign of weakness or blasphemy. Instead of looking for answers in the Bible, ancient philosophers, or prophets, pioneering scientists like Francis Bacon and René Descartes promoted a new approach. They emphasized the need for empirical observation, systematic experimentation, and logical reasoning based on verifiable evidence. The scientific method was not just about collecting random data, but about formulating hypotheses, designing experiments to test them, and then building theories based on solid evidence. The religion of scientists was no longer a belief in a ready-made truth, but a belief in the process of finding truth, in the ability of reason and observation to expand human understanding. Mathematics became the language for describing the world, allowing scientists not only to explain phenomena, but also to predict them with precision. From Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo's mapping of the universe, to Newton's discovery of the laws of physics, all were built on a foundation of relentless curiosity, a willingness to question what was taken for granted, and the courage to reject old assumptions. This humble acceptance of ignorance opened the door to limitless exploration, propelling history into a new era where change and progress became the main driving forces. Once we dared to admit our ignorance, humanity began to develop another revolutionary idea, the idea of progress. If we didn't know everything, then we could learn more. And if we could learn more, then we could use that new knowledge to improve our lives. The belief that human problems could and should be solved through scientific research and application became a new guiding principle for society. This was a dramatic change from previous views of history, which often saw time as a repeating cycle, a decline from a golden age, or simply a journey to the end of the world. With the dogma of progress, people began to believe that the future could not only be different, but also better than the present and the past. Problems like disease, poverty, war, and injustice were no longer seen as fate, but as challenges that could be solved through rational effort and the application of scientific knowledge. Unlike religions that promised happiness in the afterlife, Science and then capitalism began to promise a glimpse of heaven right here on Earth. A world without famine through improved agriculture, without plagues through advanced medicine, and without war through more powerful technology. It was this strong belief in the possibility of constant improvement, in making tomorrow better than today, that became an unparalleled driving force, pushing people to constantly explore, create, and innovate, turning change from an exception into the rule of history.
However, the great ideas of science and progress could not have accelerated history on their own without the fuel and impetus of other forces. It was the cooperation and sometimes exploitation between science, powerful empires, and the new capitalism that created an unprecedented triangle of power, accelerating the pace of change to dizzying speed. First, the European empires, with their desire to conquer, exploit, and expand their influence, became great patrons of science. To conquer distant lands, navigate the seas, and control vast colonies, they needed accurate maps, reliable navigational instruments such as longitude and latitude, nautical charts, and knowledge of the geography, resources, flora, and fauna of new lands. James Cook's great expeditions to the Pacific were not just adventures, but also serious scientific missions. Cook brought along botanists, astronomers, and artists to collect specimens, draw detailed maps, study the climate and population, all in the service of expanding the empire and exploiting resources. Scientific knowledge directly provided superior military advantages, from weapon technology to war tactics, helping European empires dominate the world, from conquering indigenous civilizations to establishing global trade routes. Science became the eyes and hands of the empire, helping it see, touch, and hold the world. Along with the empires, investors and entrepreneurs saw the potential for huge profits from scientific discoveries. A money on investors, chapter 14, where capitalists were willing to pour money into research and development projects not out of charity, but because of the expectation of huge profits. The discovery of a new tropical plant medicine, a high-yielding crop that could increase agricultural production, a more efficient production technology that would reduce costs, or a new trade route could yield returns 100-fold on the initial investment. Giant trading companies such as the British East India Company or the Dutch East India Company funded countless scientific expeditions and research, turning the search for knowledge into a business. The free market and experiments of science created an environment where scientific discoveries were quickly commercialized and put into practice, promoting constant competition and innovation. The creed of capitalism was not only to accumulate wealth, but also to reinvest in research to create more wealth, making science the indispensable engine of the modern economy, an endless cycle of discovery and profit. The synergy between science's acceptance of ignorance, the dogma of progress, and the unlimited resources of empire and capital created a powerful positive feedback loop that accelerated the pace of historical change to unprecedented heights. Science created new knowledge, which led to new technologies and applications. These technologies and applications generated enormous profits for capitalists and increased the power of empires. These profits and power were then reinvested in scientific research, discovering more of the unknown. It was an ever-accelerating spiral. Before the scientific revolution, thousands of years could pass without major changes in the way people lived, worked, or organized their societies. A farmer in 1000 AD could recognize the life of a farmer in 1500 AD. But after the scientific revolution, each century, even each decade, witnessed dizzying changes. From medicine that extended lifespans and eradicated the diseases that once devastated humanity, to agriculture that increased food production to feed a booming population, to materials and energy technologies that radically changed the way we build and move. Humans no longer simply adapted to the world, but became its architects, reshaping the physical and social environments to their will, creating a history that was constantly evolving and accelerating. Machines replaced labor, transportation shrunk the world, and information spread at the speed of light. These changes are not just small incremental improvements, but profound structural transformations, leaving each generation facing a world radically different from the one before. Science has not only brought knowledge, it has completely changed the way we live, think, and move forward. It was in this wave of constant innovation that another great revolution was born, the Industrial Revolution. From the power of steam that freed humans from physical limitations to the birth of artificial intelligence that is reshaping our future, discover how the wheels of industry have turned and shaped our modern world in the next episode.